have nothing, then all you have is your brain, your hands, and the time that you have that you can put towards learning something, which is why I'm a big fan of skill acquisition as one of the primary things that you can do is educating yourself. And not formally educating, but informally or alternatively educating yourself on super tactical things. Once you get over the fear, then you start asking, okay, how do I let people know about my stuff? And what do I let them know? Right? And so you have to have something to sell, which is the offer. And ideally, you want the offer to have as much leverage as possible. Like, so if you sold software or you sold media, those are things that you can cut once, sell 1,000 times. If you have a conversion mechanism, it's like you can't have it be automated like a checkout page or some sort of video sales letter or something like that where people just buy without a phone salesperson. If you add a phone salesperson, there's less leverage. Not to say this wrong, but you want to have the highest leverage opportunity. And then from the deliverability perspective, I kind of talked about deliverability first, but from the advertising perspective, if you reach out to people one-on-one, that's lower leverage than being able to make one piece of content that a million people see, right? And so over time, you go from low leverage to high leverage, where you have the same inputs, but you just get significantly more for your output. And that fundamentally is like, if we're reasoning out from first principles, how do I get, said differently, the question that someone I think is really asking is, how do I get the most for what I put in? And you have to reason within your current context of your skills and your resources and your assets in order to derive that solution for you.
So if someone walks up to you in the street and they say, Alex, what idea should I pursue? I've just quit my job.
Yeah, right. So I would say business ideas typically come from one of three Ps. So it comes from a pain that you're currently experiencing, a past profession, so the thing that you just quit or some of the jobs that you just quit, or a passion. Mm-hmm. So something that you're inherently interested in that you would spend your time doing anyways, some skill that you learned while you were in the workforce, which by the way is one of the most proven ways of making money because the economy has already showed you that people are willing to exchange money for that specific job. And so in the world of gig economies and solopreneurs, every business can be dismantled into just jobs being done. And all of those jobs can be fractionalized. So anybody, like, we look at any business, you've got sales, you've got marketing, you've got customer success, you've got customer support if you want to differentiate that, you've got product, you've got design, you've got web pages. There's so many different components to a business. You just need to learn one of them. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, boom, you have a skill that you can trade for money that you don't have anybody else to report to. And then pain is usually, I think, in some ways, sometimes one of the biggest drivers is like you had an eating allergy and you couldn't find pancakes that dealt with your specific eating allergy. And you bet that there's a decent amount of other people with that allergy that also like pancakes. And so then you make pancakes that are delicious and amazing that also cater to people with that food allergy. And then all of a sudden, like, you have a business based on pain.
And why does that matter? The pain part. What leverage and advantage does it give you for the next 5 years?
I think that deep knowledge of the prospect is paramount or very important for creating exceptional products. And you can either do that by doing a ton of research or by being the prospect. And there's a certain amount of like visceral feel that you'll know. Like if someone wants to make a nose product for breathing, I have tried every product since I was in 8th grade. So it's been 20 plus years, 30, whatever, a lot of years, that since then, and I've tried everything. And so I know the pros and cons of every product that exists on the market. And I can tell, it's not like, oh, I tried it for a day. It's like, I'll try things for a month at a time. And so I have so much time exposure to this problem that I have a lot of nuance in my opinion on what's wrong with the solutions. So I can formulate a way better hypothesis on how to fix it.
And that hypothesis will be, for an investor, so much more compelling because you lead with a cheat code is then. So I've got my idea. What do you think the cheat code is in 2025 to win at the game of attention? Like there's got to be some new rules here because we've got AI, we've got new platforms, we've got new media. I'll give you a hypothetical business idea. I'm going to be a personal trainer.
Okay.
And I picked that because everyone can do it and it's a saturated industry. If I'm a personal trainer in the 2025, how should I be thinking about building attention?
Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you what I wouldn't do first, which is I don't think I try and out-science the science people. Because like, unless you have some PhD, there is a PhD guy who's already jacked, who's making content. And so he's more knowledgeable and more jacked than you. So you're not going to win there. And so I think in the game of attention, it's trying to find what is unique, right? And so how do you quote stand out when everyone's loud? And this is going to sound trite, but your fingerprint is unique, literally from a biological perspective, but so is your life and your experiences. And so there's real alpha or benefit to be had above normal level of effort by leaning into you. And so what makes every person unique is what makes their content unique. And so trying to be like, oh, I want to make content like Alex is probably not the best way to do it, because you're not going to beat me at being me, but you'll beat me at being you. And so it's basically your flavor of media. So like for me, it's like, what is, my brand to model this? It's like, well, I have elements of philosophy that are in my brand. Well, do I need that? No, but that's like kind of me. I obviously talk a ton about business, marketing and sales, promotion, conversion. Those are all things that I spend a lot of time thinking about. And so a lot of my content's about that. Fitness is a component of my life. And so there's light sprinkling of fitness in my content. Also, I come from a background of fitness with Gym Launch and the companies that I owned before that. And so that would make sense and I've my wife Layla, and so that's sprinkled in. And so like those are basically the components of my life. And so that's what kind of shines through in my content. I consume a ton of comedy, and so sometimes you'll see some dry humor and dark humor that shines through. But that's me. Now you have all of those little buckets of you, and not only are those buckets unique, but also the proportions of those buckets will be different. And so maybe your philosophy is way bigger, or maybe fitness part is way bigger. But I think what makes the truly unique personal trainer fitness brand is leaning into people being interested in you for being you. And then being like, by the way, I have fitness stuff if you want to buy it from me. And I think the key part is the vast majority of products and services are commoditized. You're probably not going to be significantly better than other trainers, just being real. You probably aren't. But you will be different than them. And we want to lean on, I want to buy fitness from somebody, and so I might as well buy it from her, or I might as well buy it from him. So you're taking basically the audience that would buy from anyone, but your brand premium gets them to want to buy it from you. If we think about Prime, for example, with the drink company, like it's a drink that there's other products that already exist in the marketplace that satisfy the same thing as Prime. But if you are agnostic to that brand and you have brand affinity with that creator, then you're like, well, then if I have two things that are basically equal and I just like this guy better, I'm just going to, as long as the prices are comparable, I'll just vote with my dollars here. And so I think that if you're a personal trainer in 2025, it's going to be long-term, it's going to be building the content. Short-term, it's going to be outreach to people that you know and making a compelling offer to get people to try to work with you.
This overarching point you said there about being yourself, as I was thinking about it, I was thinking, gosh, do you know what? The thing that all of my favorite creators and the really successful creators have in common is they all have, and I use these words intentionally, the courage to be themselves.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, when I was starting out as a content creator, and I look back, I was showing one of my team members the other day, the things I used to post, it was like everything happens for a reason.
Cringe.
It was cringe.
Yeah, so
How much of that is a decision derived from self-awareness? Because, someone will look at you now and be like, oh no, Alex did this, so I'm going to start a acquisition.com, or they'll say, I saw Steve Jobs did that thing with the computers, I'm going to start Apple.
Yeah, right.
Or Elon, I'm going to do the spaceships. Mm-hmm. How much do you have to know thyself to know what to pursue?
Man, this is a really good question. So there's a tweet that I love by Andrew Wilkinson, which is, every entrepreneur ever, here's the winning number for my lottery ticket. And so it's like every entrepreneur will say, here's the winning lottery ticket, but it's like that drawing already happened.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And so like you can't cash that ticket in, it's already done. And so people say the word first principles, no one really knows what it means. Some people do, but I think far more people say it than know what it means. And so basically there are foundational truths of business that exist. And the conditions of the environment will change. And so you have to apply those truths to whatever the current condition is. And so that's what I try and tease out with the books and the stuff that I put out in content. But at the end of the day, you have an input of time, like zooming all the way out. Assuming that your goal is to make money, okay, and this is just a purely economic business goal, then you have time, which is the primary currency that you trade it, and you make dollars over a period of time. And so I tend to reject the idea of never trade time for dollars or anything like that, because everyone trades time for dollars. It's just some of us are more efficient at it than others. But even exchanges that occur that just are not denominated in time still occur over time. And so you have this foundational unit of time, which you're going to give in. What we're seeking is the highest return on that time. And so there, within a business context, there's kind of three levels of things that have to occur in a business. You have to, attract attention, you have to convert attention, and then you have to deliver something for that attention. And in each of those things, you want as much leverage as possible. So you want as little time as possible required to get the most output. And so I have built acquisition.com on basically two primary theses, which are in the logo, which is this is a fulcrum for leverage.
For people that can't see, it's like a triangle.
Yeah, so it's like a triangle, or the Illuminati, because that always gets brought up. Yeah, right. So we've got the fulcrum for leverage, and then inside of it, you have supply and demand. And I see those as the two foundational principles of business. And so, which is you need supply and demand to have a business, and then leverage to get as much out of it as you possibly can. And so, when you're looking at the assets that you have, assets can also be skills, resources, what you have available to you. Now, if you have